My mom always liked to collect teeth that fell out when I was a child. I'm not entirely sure as to why she wanted to keep them, but I didn't really think too much either. It was just something that she did. I remember that she would always claim that it was bad luck to throw away a tooth. She was a very superstitious woman, and growing up with her, some of that rubbed off on me. She kept all my teeth inside a small wooden box with a coat of chipped red paint. Inside, red velvet lined the bottom and the sides of the box, creating a soft interior for the teeth to lay on. She kept this square box inside the top drawer of her bedside table. I only ever saw this box make an appearance when I would lose another tooth, and she would go get the box and put the tooth into it. Other than that, it stayed hidden within her drawer. I never really thought about the box and my missing teeth. I forgot it existed until yesterday. I recently moved out of my mom's house, and so was in the process of moving all of my stuff out and into my new apartment. I entered my former home in residence of my mother, ready to pack up a final few items that still needed moving. My mom was sitting at the kitchen table, wearing long pants, a thick sweater, and woolly pink gloves. It was a strange sight to behold due to the fact that it was a warm day, but she is an eccentric woman, so I dismissed it. I greeted her, and she looked up at me and made a small grunt-like noise that I assumed meant hello. She was sometimes a bit dismissive, especially because she wasn't too happy about me moving out. I continued on into the house, grabbing whatever was left out of my stuff. I grabbed some clothes, a bottle of shampoo, and a couple of photo frames. I then remembered the old wooden box of old teeth. I didn't have any reason for wanting to take it with me, but I guess I didn't want to risk any bad luck by not bringing it along. I wandered into my mom's room, which I knew I probably shouldn't have done. I walked over to her nightstand, and I was just about to open it when I remembered that I should have asked her permission before snooping through her things. I called out to my mother, who was still situated in the kitchen. "Hey, Mom, is it all right if I grab the box you keep my teeth in?" I yelled out. "It's in the top drawer. There's nothing I shouldn't see in there, is there?" I waited a response from Mom. I swore I heard a slight grunting noise that vaguely sounded like a yes, so maybe stupidly. I opened the top drawer and plucked out the small box that sat atop a pile of old photographs. I opened the box, expecting to see around 20 teeth sitting within its wooden grasp. As I lifted a lid, I immediately saw that the box was filled to the brim with teeth. Not just baby teeth, but full-sized adult teeth as well. There had been at least 100 pearly whites, all piled on top of each other. As I stared down into the box, I heard a little noise behind me, like a soft grunting sound. I spun around sharply and saw my mom standing there. She made another muffled sound, and I noticed that her mouth didn't open. Something was definitely wrong. First, she was only making noises and not talking. And second, she was collecting teeth that didn't belong to me. What's going on? Whose teeth are these? And what are you doing with them? I asked in a tone that commanded an answer. She stared at me, and her eyes provided me with some sort of answer. She was afraid. I could see it by just looking into her eyes. But was she afraid that I'd just discovered her horrible little secret? Or afraid because something dark and terrible was happening to her? She then opened her mouth, which gave me much more detailed explanation. As her lips parted, I saw a normal row of teeth sitting along her gums. She then opened her mouth more, slightly tilting her head backwards as she did, and it revealed another row of teeth behind. They were just jutting out of the roof of her mouth. Her entire mouth was filled with perfectly white teeth. I then noticed that the bottom of her mouth also had teeth growing out of it. Along the sides of her tongue, teeth sprouted and protruded upwards. I let out a small yelp, both surprised and scared of what I had just seen. She looked into my eyes, expecting this reaction. She then lifted both hands, grasped a gloved hand with the other, and slid her left hand mitten off. The sight of her hand absolutely covered in teeth is not one that I expected to witness in my life, but here it was, covering her entire hand, and, onto her wrist, numerous teeth emerged from underneath the skin, poking through like sprouts growing out of the dirt. Her hand was covered in these enameled growths, and no skin was visible underneath the teeth. My stomach heaved at the sight, probably both in disgust and genuine terror. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Mom took off the other glove, revealing an identical hand made up of teeth that had broken through the surface of her skin. Sensing my revulsion, I wouldn't have thought Mom would have stopped there, but she took off the woolly jumper, uncovering the rows of teeth that sat along her entire arms. Her chest area also sprouted teeth, but they were still mostly underneath the skin, like they haven't fully grown through yet. Not like the rest of her body. I didn't need to see it, but I assumed that her legs would have also been covered in teeth. I watched on in horror as I saw one of the teeth near her shoulder wobble. It wobbled only slightly, but I could tell that it was loose. She had a loose tooth on her shoulder. The wobbling continued, and I saw the tooth begin to push its way out of her skin. It gave a final wriggle before falling to the floor, completing its life cycle. I couldn't help but stand there, frozen in fear at what was occurring. I didn't know what to do. I knew I should try and help her, but shock wouldn't allow me. Not just yet. Mom then turned around and walked out of her bedroom. I stood there for a moment longer before following, rather apprehensively. When I caught up to her, she was sat back down at the kitchen table. One tooth-covered arm resting on the table, the other clutched a pen. I'm not sure how she managed to hold a pen, but I knew it must have been painful to bend her fingers around it, as it would have stretched the skin underneath the teeth. She must have fought through this pain because she held the pen and brought it down to a piece of paper that was sitting on the kitchen table. She began to write. I approached the table, curious as to what was being written. I was terrified at this point, and hoped that she was providing more answers as to what was happening to her. I walked up to the piece of paper and started to read. What she had written was the most terrifying thing so far. I know you're scared. I was too when I found your grandmother in this state. She looked awful, just as I do now. She didn't know what was happening to her, but luckily, death came quickly to her to stop the suffering. I never expected it to happen to me. I prayed that it never would, yet here I am, plagued by this same affliction as my mother. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I think it might be hereditary. Hello everyone, thank you for watching my video. If you like it, please like and subscribe. You can post any stories you have to my Reddit forum, or email them to me. You can find links to both in the description. A special thank you for the author of this story. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. Have a great day, and stay spooky.